obviously when we get new games out, we get a lot of comparisons between these games, and people kind of wonder where the game plays best and things like that. It's pretty obvious, it's one of the things that drives what's going on in the industry right now. And Digital Foundry, they do what Digital Foundry does best. They're always going to be comparative of the games and things like that. I thought it was very interesting recently, within the last month or so, Digital Foundry was talking about how developers hadn't fully taken advantage of the Xbox Series X. And to be honest with you, I think that a lot of the information we're getting about, say, a potential PlayStation 5 Pro next year sometime, with having 60 compute units, that puts it in line with what the Xbox Series X already does. So my guess is, if Microsoft doesn't do a mid-gen refresh with a more powerful console, then at least we'll be getting more use out of that from the developers, because developers seem to mostly try to take advantage of the platform with the larger install base and things like that. It's sort of a double-edged sword for what Microsoft is trying to accomplish. I understand what they're trying to do. Really, I do. You want to make sure that people can play Xbox games on a multitude of devices and things like that. Makes sense, but you really do a disservice to your console fans that have long supported you, and actually supported you the longest, and put up with a lot of nonsense, by not making that more of a focus. I do sincerely think they are trying to make the console more of a focus right now, but it's one of those things where I'm kind of looking at this and I'm kind of shaking my head and going, if you guys focused a little bit more on the platform from the get-go this generation, maybe it wouldn't be such a difference in sales. And if you look back to it, when the 360 was doing as good as it was the lead platform on most games. And the reason why was because people had it, and it was the easier platform to work on. So when you see stuff like this, Alan Wake looks like it's running. This game looks super impressive regardless, but it looks like it's giving Xbox an edge in multiple different parts, with some from frame rate and things like that. But not just the Xbox Series X. Obviously, they're testing out the Series S, because that's been long contention. And actually Remedy has been saying that you don't need to worry about it. They've been doing a great job at kind of optimizing the game. Still, a lot of people are curious about it, since so much hoopla has been around it. Eurogamer Digital Foundry released a technical analysis of a PS5 version, and it's a very solid version of the game. Clearly, obviously it's not going to match up to somebody's $2,000 PC or whatever, but they're pretty comparable, PS5 and Xbox Series X, and that's good to see. Anyway, on most occasions, the Series X version benefits from an additional few frames per second. There's been a couple times where it was the opposite way around, so obviously are pretty interesting to see that things are kind of working out that well. So far as we can tell, a lot of developers are porting on, they're making the games on PlayStation 5 and then kind of porting down or what have you. So again, it's just one of those things that kind of just is a little bit strange to me. So what about the Xbox Series S, though? Since it's been highly contentious, what about performance and visuals? Well, as it turns out, the game runs and looks surprisingly good on console, showing solid optimization overall. Visually, the Series S version appears to be close to matching visuals on performance mode on PlayStation 5. And I'm going to link this and you guys can check it out. So that's pretty cool to see that we're seeing some good stuff on the Series S, especially since so many people are quick to give it shit, right? Like, how many people have been giving, nonsense to the Xbox Series S? Oh, it's this, it's that, it's the other. It's like, and realistically, the only times we've ever really seen any kind of difference or issue is when these games are actually, the way that they've kind of set them up anyway, is the only time we've really seen differences when it's a really, really small developer for the most part. You might see somebody say something once in a while, but overall, we don't really see anybody kind of talk about it and go, well, this is really because of this or based on this. Like, I think the Xbox Series S is a marvel, to be honest with you. I can't imagine, like, when you actually see this thing, like when they first announced it and you're kind of watching it or whatever, you don't realize how small this thing is, right? It's like just really a small platform. And so again, the performance that you're getting out of this thing is pretty significant in my opinion. So crazy to see that. But again, I'm very much thrilled that Xbox is kind of starting to see some of these wins again. At first, it was a little bit concerning because I honestly think for the most part, most developers will choose to make things as even as possible on PS5 and Xbox. For the simple fact is, if you're a developer, first of all, you don't want to piss off PlayStation fans because there's more of them. Second of all, it just doesn't make sense to do that. Which I always thought was weird. Like, if I'm a developer, I want to take advantage of every platform that I can. Right? If you have no problem making, utilizing the PlayStation 5's, controller for or whatever, you know what I'm saying? If you have no problems doing that, utilizing that, taking advantage of everything that console has, then why wouldn't you do the same for the Xbox? Get every bit of power, every bit of juice out of it that you can. To me, that would make the most absolute sense. So the fact that we're not seeing that, yeah, I would say that's a little bit upsetting, to say the least. But at the end of the day, I feel like certain developers, like for instance Rockstar, right? And I always point to this as a great kind of exception to the rule. But Rockstar, for example, when we see what Rockstar has been able to do with Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Xbox One X, right? A lot of developers weren't really fully utilizing the Xbox One X. Xbox One X was this massive, capable console, and developers were doing the exact same thing with that as they were with the PS4 Pro, and the Xbox One X was like literally almost 2 times as powerful as the PS4 Pro. So, again, it's weird to see, but at the same time, I'm not at all surprised. But when we saw something like Red Dead 2, I think people really started to understand that what developers do, right? And what they do is, any developer that really takes pride in their work is going to do the absolute best that they can. And they did that. It was native 4K on the Xbox One X. So when you see that it was that level, hey, native 4K on the Xbox One X, and it was like really kind of blurry and just not a very good port or whatever on PS4 Pro. That's what I thought we'd see with the Series X. I thought that we'd see a ton more of that, but we haven't so far, unfortunately. But maybe we'll get that soon. I hope developers start taking this stuff seriously and doing a little bit better job with it. But at the end of the day, can't really complain. Going to be interesting to hear what everybody has to say about this. Let me know what you guys think, though. I think Alan Wake 2 receiving great scores is awesome, but I also think, unfortunately, it might get overwhelmed by other game releases. So I bought the game. I have it on Xbox. I'm going to try it out for myself and see what I think, and I'll report back to you, because Alan Wake 1, one of my all-time favorite games. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Rack 'em up.